Peter, 4 straight wins. Ilya Bryzgalov has started in 10 straight. Depleted lineup somewhat, yet you've continued to win games. You've got to be happy where your team is at right now.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the way we've played, lately, and especially like you said, we've been battling some injuries, and guys coming out of the lineup and call-ups coming up from the minors, and bigger roles for some players on our team, and I think the guys have done a nice job of jumping in there in certain roles and filling in for the, while the other guys get back and get healthy. So, but certainly Briz is a big part of that. He's played extremely well for us lately, and last night was no different. He made some big saves when we needed him to.
We've really noticed in terms of sense of humor in the locker room, we that cover the team, and maybe some unlikely players, Jaromir Jagr dropping one-liners after the game, and obviously Bryzgalov and Hartnell, and even Danny Briere has made a joke or two about his scoring slumps, suggesting that maybe he should retire. This room seems tighter than it's been in quite some time. Does that go a long way in even determining a team's success in terms of how close this group is right now?
I do think it can really factor in a positive way when you have a good group of guys and a close-knit team. It's not always necessary, but certainly, I think when there's that camaraderie in the room and the guys seem to get along, they joke around with each other a little bit. I think that, it does go a long way to success on the ice. Guys play a little harder for each other. They try to cover up for each other. They stick up for each other out there. So, certainly they're a little bit looser. I think winning does that, and that's a good thing. The month of February was a tough month, so it's it's good to be off to a good start in March.
This is a real fun time of year once you start to get into March, of course, with playoffs just around the corner. Is this the time of year, though, that we might see the games get a little bit tighter, and maybe there's less room for error, especially given your situation right now where there's games virtually every other night?
Well, I think they have, already started to tighten up a little bit. Last night was 5-0, but Florida played hard at the beginning. It got away a little bit at the end when we got the 5-on-3 goal, and but it was a closer game than that. And, a lot of the games now you're seeing that they're more tight checking. The shots are down in the 20s as opposed to the 30s and the 40s. The space is a little harder to come by. Lots of 1-0 games, 2-1 games. So everything seems to be a little bit tighter. The points are so important to everybody right now. If you're fighting for first overall in the league, or if you're fighting for home ice, or if you're fighting to make the playoffs, or or you want to prove something because the year hasn't gone your way. It's just, there's no easy game. Sometimes the ones where you're playing the teams at the bottom, they're the most dangerous games. So there's so many important games out there right now. Everything's a little bit tighter in the checking. And
speaking of that, you've got Toronto Hockey Night in Canada. It's a big stage. You've got some guys in your team that are from that area. Will you chat with them beforehand, and maybe say, don't get up just because it is that kind of a stage, and you've got maybe some friends and family. Try and keep your cool.
Well, a lot of these guys, it's not their first rodeo. They've been around, and I think the young guys, we try to get a handle on it. I had a chat with Manning last night before his first game just to see where he was and try and get a pulse on his nervousness, but he was pretty good. He said he wasn't that nervous. He felt good. He played a great game for us. So you're right, Toronto's a little bit bigger market and a bigger stage, and there's more media coverage up there, and they're in a fight for their lives. So I would expect it would be a lot of intensity, and the game would be hyped up a little bit, but most of our guys have been through this before.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
For head coach Peter Laviolette, I'm Lisa Hillary.